Today we are going to discuss about the ecosystem, 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧. This name ecosystem was coined by 𝗬𝗏. 𝗬𝗏 ecosystem అనే మాటను ప్రతిపాదించాడు. And in ecosystem, it is the unit of biosphere. Unit of biosphere is ecosystem. Biosphere means we have already studied that it is the total environment on the earth which is having all these biotic factors. So total life supporting environment on the earth is called biosphere, and ecosystem is considered the unit of biosphere. And it is ecosystem consists of abiotic factors, nirjeeva karakalu, and biotic factors. And constantly these abiotic and biotic factors, they are interrelated, they are interacting with one another. That is called an ecosystem. So it has both structure and function. Now generally, if you see ecosystems, there are two types of ecosystems: artificial ecosystem and natural ecosystems. Artificial ecosystem and natural ecosystem. Artificial ecosystems are man-made, మానవునిచే తయారు కాబడినవి. Man-made are called artificial ecosystems. And in this, the largest artificial ecosystem we can say croplands. Even home aquaria and many of these reservoirs, aquaculture ponds, all these come under artificial ecosystems. ఈ చేపలను వాటిని పెంచే చెరువులు, రిజర్వాయర్స్, ఇళ్లలో ఉండే ఆక్వేరియా, తర్వాత క్రాప్ ల్యాండ్స్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఎకోసిస్టమ్స్ కింద వస్తాయి. న్యాచురల్ ఎకోసిస్టమ్స్ ఆర్ డిఫరెంట్ టైప్స్. ట్రాపికల్ ఫారెస్ట్, ట్రాపికల్ రెయిన్ ఫారెస్ట్, ఉష్ణమండల అడవులు, ట్రాపికల్ డెసిడ్యుయస్ ఫారెస్ట్, then grassland ecosystems, పచ్చిక బయళ్ళు, grassland ecosystems, desert ecosystems, ఎడారులు. These are all natural ecosystems. And these tropical forests, grasslands, deserts, all these come under terrestrial ecosystems. They come under terrestrial ecosystems present on land. So tropical rainforests, tropical deciduous forests, grassland ecosystems, and these deserts. Deserts again, hot deserts which are seen in Rajasthan, cold deserts present in Himalayan regions. All these are terrestrial ecosystems under natural type. Aquatic ecosystems natural aquatic ecosystems are, of course, oceans, which are the most stable ecosystems and largest ecosystem. Most stable and largest ecosystems are oceans. Then lakes, ponds. These are all freshwater ecosystems. Then estuaries. Estuaries. All these are natural ecosystems. These estuaries are the places where the rivers join the sea. River mouths join the sea. So, in aquatic ecosystems, oceans are the most stable ecosystems. Then, under freshwater, generally you will find lakes, ponds, rivers, streams, all these come under freshwater ecosystems. And then estuaries. Estuaries are the places where the river joins the sea. Normally we say river mouths. Nadi mukhadwara jeevavarana vyavasthalu estuaries. Nadulu velli samudranlo kalise chotuni estuaries antaru. In this estuaries you will find the fluctuations in salinity. So lakes, ponds, rivers and all, salinity would be less. We had already studied that salinity in fresh water is around 5 parts per thousand, and in oceans it is 30 to 35. So, in these freshwater ecosystems, again, stagnant waters like lakes, ponds, reservoirs, of course reservoirs come under artificial, these are called lentic type of systems. And flowing waters like rivers, canals, streams, they come under lotic type. Flowing waters. Flowing waters are lotic, stagnant waters are lentic type of environment. So this is briefly the classification of ecosystems. Abiotic factors in an ecosystem includes all these physical factors like light, temperature, and chemical factors like water, mineral salts. These are the abiotic factors. The amount of minerals, amount of inorganic substances present at a particular area, it is called standing state. Amount of mineral salts present in a particular area available for the organisms at a particular period of time, that is called standing state. Now, biotic factors include in an ecosystem include first producers, utpattidaru. Producers are autotrophs, photosynthetic organisms. Photosynthetic organisms are producers, autotrophs. So they produce their own food material and they are only responsible for providing energy for the entire ecosystem. These producers commonly what we find on land are herbaceous plants and woody plants. These are common producers on land. And in water, mainly phytoplankton are producers, chief producers in aquatic environment. Phytoplankton are the chief producers. Sometimes even some bacteria like 𝗂𝗽𝗍𝗺. Generally, bacteria means we consider them as decomposers. They come under mostly decomposers, but 𝗂𝗽𝗍𝗺 like sulfur bacteria, these are also considered as the producers. So producers are the organisms which are photosynthetic or chemoautotrophic. They synthesize their own food material, and they also provide energy basically to the entire ecosystem. These are called producers. After producers, depending on the producers, there are other organisms, other biotic factors, they are called consumers. ఉత్పత్తి జీవుల పైన ఆధారపడి నివసించే వాటిని భక్షక జీవులు అంటారు, కన్జ్యూమర్స్ అంటారు. దీస్ కన్జ్యూమర్స్ ఆర్ హెటిరోట్రాఫ్స్, పరభక్షకాలు. Heterotrophs. They depend on producers for their food material. Now, these consumers again are at different levels we find. In consumers, there are primary consumers which are directly feeding on the photosynthetic organisms. These primary consumers are generally herbivores. Primary consumers are herbivores. They directly feed on the plants on land, and if it is water, phytoplankton. So these primary consumers, herbivores on land, are these insects like grasshoppers. Insects like grasshoppers, and herbivores like rabbit, cattle, deer, all these herbivores on land, and in water, zooplankton. Zooplankton in water mainly come under primary consumers. Now, primary consumers form food for secondary consumers. So, secondary consumers are feeding on herbivores, but under secondary consumers sometimes omnivores also present. They feed both on plants and other organisms also. So secondary consumers are generally carnivores or sometimes omnivores. So secondary consumers, suppose you take land. On the land, there are rabbits and these insects like grasshoppers and all. These grasshoppers would be taken by a frog. Frog is considered secondary consumer. It is carnivore, so it is also called a primary carnivore. Secondary consumers are also called primary carnivores. And rabbit and all might be taken by another carnivore like a fox, tiger and all may be taken by this. These would be eating the herbivores like rabbits and all. These are secondary consumers, and these organisms need not be present at the same trophic level always. Sometimes tiger might become tertiary consumer. So it depending on the ecosystem. So these are the consumers. And the animals which are feeding on secondary consumers are called tertiary consumers. Tigers, lions, even man comes under tertiary consumer. Now, another biotic factor which are very important are decomposers, vichinnakara jeevulu. Decomposers. These decomposers are essential in an ecosystem. Without decomposers, producers cannot exist. Reason is, these decomposers are responsible for conversion of organic matter into inorganic substances. This process is called decomposition. Example, many of these bacteria, fungi, mainly take part in this decomposition. We will discuss the details of decomposition the next topic. Now, let us start again with decomposers. So, decomposers are converting the organic matter. Now, what is this organic matter? Organic matter includes the dead bodies of plants and animals. Dead bodies of organisms, both plants and animals, and fecal matter of animals, even dry leaves of plants. All this forms organic matter. These bacteria and fungi and sometimes other animals like earthworms and all, they feed on this organic matter and finally convert them into inorganic substances, into the soil. They leave this organic matter. This is called detritus. This detritus is converted into inorganic materials and released into the soil. From the soil, these inorganic salts are utilized by producers, that is, plants. So, producers cannot exist in the absence of decomposers. So, for the survival of the producers, decomposers are essential in an ecosystem. So, this is briefly about the different biotic factors present in an ecosystem. These biotic factors and abiotic factors, already in earlier classes we studied in detail. All those abiotic factors together form the structural components of an ecosystem. Functional characters of an ecosystem are: first, productivity. Decomposition, energy flow. These are, and nutrient recycling. These are all some of the functions of ecosystem, important functions of ecosystem. Now, let us see these functions one after the other. First, let us see productivity. Productivity means the amount of or quantity of biomass or organic matter produced by organisms of a trophic level. It is called productivity. So, biomass or organic matter produced by organisms of a trophic level, it is called productivity. Organisms means they might be producers or consumers. So, if the energy amount of biomass means biomass is the organic matter, the dry weight of organisms. So, the energy which is produced, that energy only converted into biomass. So, the energy which is produced by producers is called primary productivity. Primary productivity. So, primary productivity is rate of energy production. So, the primary productivity is rate of energy production by producers. Rate of energy production by producers is called primary productivity. This primary productivity again we discuss as gross primary productivity, GPP. Gross primary productivity. This is the rate of energy produced by photosynthesis. Let me explain this. Plants are receiving energy through sunlight. That solar energy is converted to chemical energy, that is starch. So, by photosynthesis, the energy produced by photosynthesis, utilizing solar energy, that is called gross primary productivity. Now, whatever the energy produced by plants using solar energy by photosynthesis, from that they spend some energy for respiration. Energy spent by plants for respiration, that is, we represent it as R. So, from gross primary productivity, they are spending some energy, there is loss of some energy, that is called R. Remaining energy which is stored in plants, or the remaining energy is available for the herbivores, that is called net primary productivity. Net primary productivity is the amount of energy available for the herbivores. NPP is GPP minus R. This is the energy available for the herbivores. Energy available for the herbivores or energy stored in plants, that is called net primary productivity. Coming to the secondary productivity. Secondary productivity. This is the rate of production of energy or amount of biomass produced by consumers. Rate of production of energy of consumers is called secondary productivity. So, consumers any level, either primary or secondary or tertiary, we consider it as secondary productivity. So this secondary productivity, these consumers, as they feed on the producers, so from the net primary productivity is taken by, consumed by these consumers, but everything whatever they have consumed will not be assimilated, will not be converted into the biomass of consumers. Some of the energy is lost as fecal matter and some of the energy is utilized for respiration. After that, the remaining energy which is stored in consumers, that is called net secondary productivity. Net secondary productivity. That is energy stored as biomass of consumers, any level, second, third or fourth, that is called net secondary productivity. So this is briefly about the productivity and the energy which is produced or consumed. This we express as grams per year or kilocalories, meters per year. So these are the units of energy we express in this productivity. Decomposition. Now, decomposition is another important functional aspect of ecosystem carried by decomposers. Decomposers are also called micro-consumers. Because most of the decomposers are either bacteria or fungi. So these are considered micro-consumers according to some ecologists. Now, in this decomposition, the organic matter, that is detritus, which includes these dead bodies, dry leaves, other plant products, fecal matter of organisms, animals, all this forms detritus. Organisms feeding on detritus are called detritivores. This is the food for detritivores. Examples. A familiar example, earthworm, millipedes in arthropoda, millipedes, earthworms, all these form food for, they are detritivores, they feed on detritus. Now, in this decomposition, there are several steps. Together cause decomposition. Fragmentation. Some of the steps are fragmentation. This fragmentation is carried by detritivores like earthworms. They help in this fragmentation. Chinna ముక్కలుగా చేయడాన్ని ఫ్రాగ్మెంటేషన్, శకలీకరించడాన్ని, చిన్న ముక్కలుగా చేయడాన్ని ఫ్రాగ్మెంటేషన్ అంటారు. తర్వాత leaching is another process that also forms one of the steps under decomposition. Leaching is this detritus, it is converted into inorganic salts and precipitates in the soil. The inorganic substances present in the detritus are precipitated in the soil. They sink deep into the soil and becomes non-available. That is called leaching. So sinking of inorganic material, inorganic matter into the soil, that is called leaching. It becomes non-available for the organisms. Then catabolism. The organic matter is converted or acted upon by enzymes produced by bacteria and fungi. So, due to the enzymes produced by bacteria or fungi, they convert this organic matter. So, they are acting on this organic matter and breaking down this organic matter takes place, that is called catabolism. All these steps take place simultaneously. All these steps take place simultaneously on detritus. They occur simultaneously on detritus, and finally the substance which is formed is called humus. Formation of humus is called humification. Formation of humus is called humification. So this dark colored amorphous substance formed by the action of detritivores or bacteria, fungi, or by leaching process, by all this humus is formed. Humus is considered an amorphous colloidal substance, and it is a reservoir of nutrients. Reservoir of nutrients. This is humus. Now, this humus is resistant to the action of enzymes, resistant to the action of bacterial enzymes. So, after humification, next process is mineralization. After humification, next step is mineralization. Decomposition occurs depending on the abiotic factors like temperature. If temperature is more, that is, warmth is there and oxygen is available, humidity is more. Under these conditions, rate of decomposition is more. So, rate of decomposition is more if there is warmth and oxygen, aerobic conditions, and if humidity is also more, then decomposition takes place at a faster rate in the soil. Same way, if the organic matter consists of this carbohydrates, proteins, then decomposition would be faster. But if chitin is more, or lignin, that is common in plants, plant cell walls, if these are there, then slowly decomposition takes place. These substances are resistant to decomposers. Then, same way, anaerobic conditions and low temperatures and low humidity, decomposition occurs very, very slow. So, rate of decomposition in the soil depends on these conditions also. So, decomposers release these inorganic substances into the into the land and even in water also, and in aquatic environment also decomposers are present at the bottom of the lakes and all. They also release inorganic nutrients into the water. Same way the land also. So these are again utilized by producers. So in an ecosystem, all these are important in order to function the ecosystem. All these factors are important, biotic factors. Now, let us discuss some questions in this topic. It is a more generalized topic. So, generally they ask questions like this. Largest ecosystem and most stable ecosystem. Is, they give 4 options like a reservoir and cropland, an aquaculture pond, and this oceans. Ocean is considered, of course, largest is even croplands also, but most stable is ocean. That is marine ecosystem. So answer is marine ecosystem. And same way they ask the artificial ecosystems. In artificial ecosystems, the largest or which of the following is an artificial ecosystem? Or is not an artificial ecosystem? Is not an artificial ecosystem. They can give 4 options like a reservoir, aquaculture pond, aquarium, lake. So lake is the natural ecosystem. And here instead of lake, they can give pond also. Lake and pond, there are very little difference is there actually. Both are freshwater, but lake is larger in size and deeper. Perennial, they don't become dry even during summer also. Perennial. Depth is more, larger area. Then we consider that as lake. Ponds are as already lakes we discussed, so it is smaller, shallower, and they may become dry during summer. So fluctuations will be there in the pond. They may become dry. So this is generally students should know the difference between the lake and a pond. So lake or pond, anything they can give, that is a natural ecosystem. Of course, aquaculture ponds, they are man-made, so they are considered as artificial. Then another question, previous NEET exams also they asked, which of the following shows, which of the following ecosystems exhibit least genetic diversity? జన్యు వైరుధ్యం, క్రింది వానిలో జన్యు వైరుధ్యం అతి తక్కువగా కలిగిన వ్యవస్థ ఏది? జీవావరణ వ్యవస్థ ఏది? వైరుధ్యం అతి తక్కువగా కలిగిన 1. Aquaculture pond, 2. Cropland, 3. A reservoir, 4. A lake ecosystem. Other options, this aquaculture pond, generally aquaculture ponds we grow these fish, prawns, these things are grown. Generally, instead of one species, they mix up 2-3 species in aquaculture ponds. So when aquaculture pond is there given, okay, to some extent the diversity when compared to the natural ones like lake ecosystem, in these 4 options, lake ecosystem has higher diversity, then reservoir is also higher diversity. But when you compare these two, aquaculture pond and cropland, we grow only one type of crop. Others, even if they are there, we remove them. So cropland has the least diversity, we can say. Aquaculture ponds also we can take into consideration, but when both are given, you better go for cropland. ఎందుకంటే ఆక్వాకల్చర్ పాండ్స్లో జనరల్గా 3 రకాలు 2 రకాలు లేకపోతే ఇంకా ఎక్కువ రకాలైన జీవుల్ని పెంచుతారు. సో క్రాప్ ల్యాండ్లో ఒకటే క్రాప్ ఉంటుంది మెయిన్గా, మిగిలినవి కలుపు మొక్కలు అవన్నీ జనరల్గా తీసి పడేస్తూ ఉంటారు. సో క్రాప్ ల్యాండ్స్ ఈజ్ ద ఆన్సర్ ఫర్ దిస్. అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్ దే కెన్ ఆస్క్, in an ecosystem, primary carnivores occupy which level? First level, మొదటి స్థాయి, second level, third level, or fourth level? Primary carnivores are secondary consumers. Primary carnivores are secondary consumers. Secondary consumers come under third level because producers, on the producers feeding these herbivores, they come under primary consumers. After primary consumers, secondary consumers or primary carnivores. So they come under third trophic level. ఈ విధంగా కూడా అడగొచ్చు. Then the rate of, in the previous NEET questions 2015-16 లో కూడా the rate of production of, the rate of energy production by producers, rate of energy production by producers is called, producers ఉత్పత్తి చేసే ఎనర్జీ రేటుని ఏమంటారు? They give 4 options. Answers, just before this we discussed, answer is primary productivity. Answer is primary productivity. Same way they can ask secondary productivity. Secondary productivity is the rate of energy produced by decomposers, consumers, producers or phytoplankton, green plankton. Secondary productivity is rate of energy production by, in an ecosystem, by 1 phytoplankton, green plants, green algae and zooplankton. Secondary productivity is related to consumers. In these 4 options, which one is the consumer? 4th one, zooplankton. So zooplankton is the energy produced in the ecosystem. Zooplankton are the organisms which are producing energy, that is called secondary productivity. ఇక్కడ zooplankton అనేది ఆన్సర్ అవుతుంది. The prokaryotes acting as producers from the following. They are, so they give 4 options like unicellular algae, euglenoids, dinoflagellates and cyanobacteria and సల్ఫర్ బ్యాక్టీరియా. ఇక్కడ నేను 2 ఇస్తున్నాను ఒకటే ఆప్షన్లో, బట్ ఎనీ వన్ కెన్ బి గివెన్. సో ఆన్సరు cyanobacteria and sulfur bacteria. These are prokaryotes, but they act as producers in an ecosystem. సో ఈ విధంగా కూడా కొంచెం ట్విస్ట్ చేసి అడగచ్చు. ఐడెంటిఫై micro consumers from the following. One, Daphnia, water flea, microscopic crustacean. Amoeba, fungi, then rotifers. These are all microscopic organisms. Instead of fungi, we can give even bacteria also. Bacteria or fungi. So, micro-consumers are nothing but decomposers. Micro-consumers are nothing but decomposers. All are microscopic organisms. All of them are consumers, Daphnia, amoeba, rotifers. But bacteria and fungi are actually decomposers. So these we can identify as micro-consumers. Now, in one diagram I am going to draw, and in this, suppose a tree is there. This tree producing, or from the tree dropped many dry leaves. These dry leaves are taken by insects. So, that is taken by insects. And some of the dry leaves are reaching the soil as detritus. Now, on the detritus, feeding these earthworms. So these are what? Detritivores. This is fragmentation. Then on the detritus feeding some fungi. That is catabolism. This is fragmentation. Now, from the dry leaves, some of the inorganic substances are reaching the soil by leaching. That is also entering into the soil. Now, from this detritus and from this soil, all these are again taken by the tree. So, this is the fragmentation, catabolism, leaching, and forming into the humus in the soil. Reaching the soil means they are formed in soil. This is called humification, and the humus is gradually changing into minerals. So mineralization taking place, and it is taken again by trees. This is a diagrammatic representation of decomposition. So produces these dry leaves and all. Insect dead bodies also form into detritus, and some of the detritivores, they show fragmentation, catabolism, and all this reaching the soil. Humus is formed, then again taken by trees. This diagram they give, and then they don't mention about these organisms. Fragmentation they give, and they just put E. ఇప్పుడు ఐడెంటిఫై ఏబిసి. ఈ క్రింది పటంలో ఏబిసిని సరిగా గుర్తించుము అంటారు. ఏబిసిని క్రింది పటంలోని ఏబిసిను గుర్తించుము. మీకు 4 ఆప్షన్స్ ఇస్తారు. ఏది కరెక్టో చూడాలి. ఏ ఫంగై, బి శిలీంధ్రాలు, ఫంగై అంటే శిలీంధ్రాలు. రెండో ఆప్షను సి కీటకాలు లేదా కీటకాలు. 3 ఏ వానపాములు లేదా మిల్లీపెడ్స్ కూడా ఇవ్వచ్చు. 4 బి డెట్రిటస్. అక్కడ హ్యూమస్ బదులు డెట్రిటస్ ఇచ్చారనుకుందాం. లేకపోతే మినరల్ కంటెంట్, మినరల్ సాల్ట్స్ ఇచ్చారనుకుందాం, లవణాలు. ఇందులో బి అనేది లవణాలు కాదు, ఎందుకంటే బి అండర్గోస్ మినరలైజేషన్. సో ఇది డెఫినెట్గా హ్యూమస్ అవ్వాల్సి వస్తుంది. అలాగే సి కీటకాలు కాదు, ఎందుకంటే ఇక్కడ మనం ఇక్కడ సి బదులు కెటబాలిజం, ఫంగై డెట్రిటస్ మీద జరిపే చర్యని కెటబాలిజం అంటారు. సో సి బదులు ఇక్కడ లీచింగ్ అని ఇచ్చారనుకున్నాం. అక్కడ కరెక్ట్గా ఉండాల్సింది ఏంటి? కెటబాలిజం ఉండాలి, విచ్ఛిన్న క్రియ జరగాలి. లీచింగ్ అనేది ఫంగై వలన జరగదు. నీటిలో కరిగే లవణాలు భూమిలోకి వెళ్ళిపోతాయి. ఈ ఫంగై, శిలీంధ్రాలు, బ్యాక్టీరియా అవి చేసే క్రియని మీరు కెటబాలిజం అంటారు. సో సి అనే దాన్ని మీరు లీచింగ్గా తీసుకోకూడదు. అక్కడ కెటబాలిజం ఉంటే అప్పుడు అది కరెక్ట్ అవుతుంది. ఈ విధంగా బిని సిని మీరు ఎలిమినేట్ చేసేస్తే ఏ దగ్గరికి వస్తే ఏ ఫంగై కావచ్చు, ఎర్త్వార్మ్ కావచ్చు. కానీ ఇక్కడ ఫ్రాగ్మెంటేషన్ అని ఇచ్చారు. ఫ్రాగ్మెంటేషన్ అని ఇచ్చినప్పుడు ఫంగై ఫ్రాగ్మెంటేషన్ చేసే జీవుల కింద రావు. సో మనకి కరెక్ట్ ఆన్సరు ఒక్కటే మిగులుతుంది, అది ఎర్త్వార్మ్, వానపాము. ఈ విధంగా ఎలిమినేట్ చేసుకుంటూ ఒక్కొక్క ఆప్షన్ని కరెక్ట్ ఆప్షన్కి రావచ్చు.